Okay, so good morning. I hope you can listen me and see me well. Welcome to this workshop about the nervous system and the diaphragm in breathing on the Whole Health Project. I am so honored and pleased to be offering this workshop. And if you feel inspired, or if you will enjoy it, or if you want to support my teachings and my activity, then you can make a donation to my PayPal link. For you to donate, you will find a link in the description of this video. And if donating at the moment isn't feasible for you, then please enjoy the workshop as a gift from me to you, and feel free to share it with your friends. So first of all, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Simona. I am 23 years old, and I am a scientist, a freediver, a yogini, and a breath coach. So a lot of things all together. And in this workshop, I would like to introduce you to the role of the nervous system and of the diaphragm in the process of respiration, exploring it by 3 points of view, which corresponds to my background. So as I said before, science, freediving, and yoga. I found out freediving, the art of underwater breath hold, approximately 3 years ago maybe, but I have been doing it unconsciously for like 20 years now. And by learning how to breathe before a breath hold, I have met yoga and pranayama techniques which have changed my life forever for better. And I bet you are now curious to know what I've gained from the past 3 years from my biotechnologist degree, my experience as a freediver and as a yogini and yoga teacher. This workshop is not actually divided in categories. I will not say I have learned this from science, I have learned this from freediving or from yoga. It is actually more like a speech of what I have learned and gained from all of my experience. But I also understand that you may notice what kind of terms or experience I've gained, maybe from science, because I will speak about muscles, respiratory system, anatomy, physiology, and I will talk about my freediving experience. So you may notice it, but let's start. So the first thing to say probably is that breathing is so simple and so obvious for us that we often take it for granted, ignoring the enormous power it has to affect our body, mind, and spirit. And breathing practices were found to influence the neurocognitive abilities, autonomic and pulmonary functions, as well as the biochemical and metabolic activities in the body. So we may say that breathing is not just an automatic and irrelevant mechanism that just goes along with the flow and we can't control it. It's not like that. It is something that we should have control on to regulate physical and emotional outcomes. So what do we know about respiration process? First of all, we should know something about the anatomy and the physiology of breathing in our body. So the major muscle of our respiration is the diaphragm, but it's not the only one. In fact, we breathe through many muscles present in our rib cage as well. We have muscle of inhalation and muscle of exhalation, which are divided into core muscles and accessory muscles. And as you may understand from the terms that are used, core muscles are the most important muscles that are involved in this process. Accessory muscles are accessory. The core muscles of inspiration are the external intercostals, which are located between in between our rib cage, which contracts to elevate ribs, increasing the width of thoracic cavity, and the diaphragm, which is located just below the sternum, like here. And the diaphragm descends, contracting to expand the rib cage and elevate the lower ribs, increasing the vertical dimension. While the accessory muscles of inspiration are the sternocleidomastoid, which is located here, which contracts to elevate the sternum. In fact, if I'm using on purpose my sternocleidomastoid, so when I'm breathing shallow with my upper part, I'm doing this. Okay, so I'm contracting my sternomastoid and I'm elevating my sternum. Then I have the pectoralis minor, which contracts to pull the ribs outwards, and the scalene muscles that elevate and fix upper ribs. So this for inspiration or inhalation. The core muscles of expiration or exhalation are the internal intercostals, which contracts to pull the ribs down, and the diaphragm, which relaxes to reduce thoracic cavity. So when I exhale, I'm releasing and I'm relaxing my diaphragm and my rib cage. The accessory muscles of expiration are the abdominal muscles, which are many, that contracts to compress the abdomen, depress the lower ribs and push up the diaphragm. And also we have the quadratus lumborum that contracts to pull ribs down. Now, of course, you don't need to remember all of the names of the muscles that I have named, but I've done it, I've listed them because just for you to understand that we have core muscles, accessory muscles, and they work in synergy, in contrast between inhalation and expiration. They are very similar muscles, I mean external intercostal, internal intercostal, the diaphragm, but they have different roles if we are inhaling or exhaling. A complete and proper inhalation starts from the diaphragm and then proceeds into the rib cage. So diaphragmatic breathing let us fully exploit the capacity of the lungs, triplicating the amount of oxygen that enters the bloodstream. By inhaling, we improve oxygenation into the body and spark the transformation of nutrients into fuel, necessary for all the districts of our body, from the microscopic cellular environment to the organ function. And with each exhale, we purge out the body the carbon dioxide, a toxic waste. So this is how it is involved also in metabolism. And there are many scientific studies that demonstrated the physical benefits of pranayama yogic breathing techniques into cardiovascular diseases, hypertension, on emotional disturbance, for example, anxiety or depression, on metabolism, on longevity, on our capacity to mindful thinking, on post-traumatic stress disorders, stress resilience, and many, many others. And the diaphragm has also another benefit on our body. In fact, it has a nervous connection at the level of the lumbar vertebrae, useful in the prevention of lower back pain. And by increasing air quantity in our lungs, space is created in our rib cage, keeping our spine in its natural position and without compressing the lungs. And diaphragmatic breathing does not stress the accessory muscles, I showed you before, and avoids tension and pain in neck and shoulders. So how a proper diaphragmatic breathing should start. So I will show you. Okay, so if you can see me, just give me a moment. Okay, if you can just see me in this straight position. Okay, I have my spine straight, and I should start inhaling using my abdomen. So I should feel my belly rises. So like this. Okay, so this is, okay, I'm right here. This is very accentuated, very marked. But just to let you understand, this is also the type of breathing that we use in freediving. I will talk about this later. And once you feel your belly, you can move to your rib cage. So once you've inhaled, so I have fulfilled all my rib cage, starting from the diaphragm, rib cage, and upper part. And when I exhale, I should do exactly the opposite. So I will start emptying my upper part, my rib cage, and my belly. Okay, so you should have seen that it is created like a void because the diaphragm pushes up during exhalation. And actually we will see this type of breathing and this type of exercise, diaphragmatic stretching training, in my next workshop in very few days. And also, please, if you need to do any questions or if you're curious about something, I would like to interact with you. Maybe you can leave some questions or comments or thoughts in the comments. I am reading it right now, so I will answer you very soon, immediately, or maybe also at the end of this workshop. Okay, so moving on, breathing also affects the regulation of our nervous system and our state of mind. It can make us excited or calm, tensed or relaxed. And autonomic nervous system, which controls the breathing and many other functions of our body, is divided into sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. Sympathetic nervous system is needed when we are experiencing stress, while parasympathetic nervous system concerns the rest, restore, and digest response. The stress response, as well as anxiety, are usually part of our daily life because of money, home conflicts, job issues. Consequently, our nervous system is constantly switched on sympathetic version. And the sympathetic nervous system is actually useful in some cases of actual stress, danger, anxiety, but should not be a constant daily response. It is activated by rapid and superficial thoracic breathing, and the stress response is constituted of fast heartbeats, fast and shallow breath, so something like, okay, so I'm moving my upper part very fast and I'm doing shallow breathing. Inactive gut, because digestion is not a primary function in stressful situations. So we are expending our energy without a real reason. And we can consciously switch to deep and abdominal breathing that I've showed you before. And active the parasympathetic nervous system, which is related to calm response. And we are using that kind of response, for example, when we go to bed for sleeping. And the relaxation response is made of slow heartbeats, full deep breath, active gut, and conserves your energy. As the breath is directly correlated with the nervous system, we can use the breath to improve our mindset, which is also directly correlated to mindfulness practice. So we can use it to stay present, focused, centered, and grounded in challenging situations. Maintain and communicate a sense of well-being, safety, and calm in stressful situations, which can be useful in our daily life, at work, during sport performances, in many different situations. So we can cultivate awareness and freedom from negative self-talk and the painful emotions it creates. You know, when you are you are feeling depression or anxiety, or you are in a very bad moment of your day, you used to self-talk in a negative way. Maybe you're saying, I am a disaster, I don't deserve this, this day is just awful, I want to go home and don't speak to everybody, I don't want to do anything. Okay, that is the negative self-talk, which is not useful to our emotional state. We should instead positive self-talk, and breathing can help in this because of the relationship with the nervous system. So developing an experience of well-being and nourishing pleasure in the body can really make a difference. Why this happens? Because breathing techniques, which comes primarily for pranayama, so yogic traditions, have the power to relieve chronic anxiety, defensiveness, and reactions to stress. And I want to underline that this is not a medical consult or suggestion. I mean, breathing cannot cure anxiety or depression, of course, but it can help to make you sense well-being and health. It can help to manage or alleviate fatigue, burnout, to increase aliveness, the energy flow, and a sense of wholeness and connection, to realign, relax, and center your body and your mind, because they are always connected. And many of us perform dysfunctional breathings because no one ever taught us how to breathe properly. Nobody taught us which are the benefits of the correct breathing. Nobody taught us that which are the adverse outcomes that can come along with the dysfunctional breathing. Dysfunctional breathing has a major impact on multiple physiological systems, resulting in symptoms and deficit of the body. In fact, statistics shows that millions of people suffer with profound and misunderstood symptoms of dysfunctional breathing habits. Unfortunately, these habits are rarely identified by practitioners, and their effects are mistakenly attributed to other causes, and their resolutions prescriptive in nature, where focus is on symptoms rather than on causes. And this can be detected by a breath coach. Again, this is not any medical suggestions. This is a complementary solution. So we should like to focus on causes, not only symptoms, because symptoms will go away when you focus on the causes and delete them, eliminate the causes, symptoms disappear. But if you cover symptoms, the cause will not disappear. So an example of dysfunctional breathing that I have also named before is shallow breathing. And if you manifest this kind of dysfunction, you are not inhaling with the full breath, like I've shown you before, but you use only the upper portion of the lungs, and you might also perform rapid breathing. So, okay, there are also different types of shallow breathing based on your inhalation rate and exhalation rate, but never mind this. To overcome this dysfunction, you can cultivate a mindful practice, such as breath awareness, observing which part of your lungs you are moving. Be aware of the anatomy involved. And there is also an important difference between breath awareness and breath consciousness, because breath awareness is when you are noticing your breath as it naturally comes. You are not trying to change it, you are not trying to modify it. Breath consciousness is when you are aware of your breath and you want to change it on purpose with breathing techniques to improve it and to overcome this dysfunction, to work on it. And the breath coach may notice and indicate to you your posture, which probably is hunched, like this, is not nice and tall. And because of this, lungs are not able to expand, because if you are, I'll make you see that if you are in a hunched position with your back, so like this, you have your chin out of its natural position. Your cervical vertebrae are compressing, and your rib cage is also collapsed, so you're not able actually to breathe properly. So you should have some dysfunctional breathing to breathe like this. While if I only move my back, and this returns to the connection between the diaphragm and the nervous system I was talking about in the lower back pain. Look, I am now bringing my back straight, nice and tall, and my chin returned to its natural position. Also, my cervical vertebrae are not compressed, and I am able to use the fullness of my rib cage and my diaphragm to properly breathing. So you may see how many connections you also have with posture, not only with the blood flow and all the other things that we spoke about before. So the breath coach may indicate your posture, and this may be the result of stress and trauma on prolonged time, a response to perception of danger. So you're always aware of some kind of danger around you, even when there is none. And posture also comes from job. If you maybe work a lot on computer, or from childhood in traditional education, sitting many hours rather than stand up and explore, and it can interfere with the maturity of the body. And a bad lifestyle, for example, smoking or drugs, increase the losing range of functions. So shoulder and neck muscles activate more and lungs are compressed. We are using only our accessory muscles and not our core muscles. Breathing and its potential effects on our lives, positive and negative, are enormous. Appreciating this enormity is significantly enhanced by learning about the amazing physiology of breathing, which, together with understanding breathing as motivated behavior, can account for the profound and far-reaching effects on breathing on health and performance. Breathing is different from respiration. Breathing is a behavior. It can change, can be relearned by attention, perception, memory, and personal history. And self-defeating learned breathing behaviors compromise physiology, psychology, health, and performance. So this was the first part of this workshop, and I'm seeing some comments of love and appreciation. Thank you. So now I will move on to another part of my workshop, which regards the free diving. So my journey began with free diving 3 years ago, immediately followed by yoga, and this came after a deep crisis, which pushed me in the direction of my soul purpose, what I like to call it. I started with breathing exercises and to learn about breath hold underwater, and I found the tool to connect the body and mind for a deeper well-being and inner peace. I believe that happiness is not something that we can pursue and achieve. It is a byproduct of living a life of integrity and discipline. When we incorporate the universal principles of well-being in our daily life, we begin to experience many emotions and sensations: fulfillment, joy, peace, inspiration, enthusiasm. Yoga is a way of healthy way of applying these principles of well-being to our axis body, mind, spirit. What did I learn from freediving, and why this makes me it makes me feel so centered, focused, and serene? I bet you are curious about that. When I was a kid, I used to hold my breath in the water, under the sea, but also in swimming pool, for as long as I could. I think it is fascinating to observe marine life, fishes, mammals, corals, reptiles, and the light shades in the blue. The water around me was like a blanket of protection, and still today I have the same feeling. When I hold my breath, I move into another world. Time stands still, and I want to capture those moments forever. And those moments mean everything to me. They define who I am. I am aware that freediving is a privilege, because it is having the possibility to start a journey into your highest self by breathing before entering a different environment. You go through an elsewhere, another dimension where there are no thoughts, no family problems, no job issues, no arguing between people, no screaming, actually no sounds at all. I feel like I have no boundaries. There is no greater feeling of freedom when you're holding your breath 30 meters underwater. I can guarantee you that. And you're free to move in any direction, in any shape. Everything seems limitless, and there is no end to time or space. Underwater world is the most quiet place on earth. But quiet places speak loudly when you slow down enough to listen. It's incredible what can happen in that time, in that limited time, but also eternal time, between two breaths. Actually it is a journey between two breaths. I take a full inhalation, I start my journey, the water receives me, and then I am traveling in this elsewhere, and when I come back I have another breath, exhalation and inhalation. And this is also what happens when we came into this world and when we leave it. I mean, we came into this world with an inhalation and we leave it with an exhalation. It is just like a metaphor of our life. And I started freediving because it is my antidote to the chaos in a very loud world. Down there, my mind is at peace. I feel like an astronaut, like as I gently sink downwards. There is my spacewalk. The water is my sky. And the rate of my heartbeats decide how long I get to stay. I never felt more alive, breath holding to learn how to breathe. So you may ask yourself, how is this even possible? How it is connected to breathing? Why do I feel so powerful and at the same time surrender to the greatness of the ocean? How my breath changes? There are many questions that a curious beginner freediver asks to himself and to his teachers. So when water touches our body system responds. We consume less oxygen, our nervous system calms down, our heart rate slows down, thanks to the mammal's reflex. When oxygen starts to decrease, the body uses chemical processes that do not require oxygen, which are called anaerobic processes. And this happens in the last phase of the dive. In the first phase, you are using the oxygen you've gained with a full inhalation. And during anaerobic processes, during anaerobic processes in tissues and organs, carbon dioxide increases, and this is the moment in which you feel the urge to breathe. And in the first phases, the carbon dioxide is at low levels and then increases, and the oxygen levels decrease. And the increasing of carbon dioxide is the signal that you need to go back to surface and breathe again, together with diaphragmatic contractions. So you can try also now. You can take a few breaths, slow breaths, full deep breaths, and when you're ready, take one last inhalation and try to breath hold. You will notice at some point that, this is different from underwater environment because you are not in the conditions of mammal's reflex, so your heart is not slowing down. Your nervous system probably is in a stress condition. Underwater, it's completely different situation. But the mechanism where you feel the urge to breathe is the same. You will feel a sensation of contractions in your belly, which is the diaphragm that tells you, hey, I need to breathe. And it is important to not hyperventilate, never, which means breathing fast and shallow, that increase the gas exchange. Actually, this mechanism does not increase the oxygen levels in your body. If you're doing, you're not increasing your oxygen levels in your body. You are significantly decrease the carbon dioxide, which I told you is the signal to go back to surface. So this is extremely dangerous underwater and also on surface. You need that signal for your own health. Hyperventilation compromises oxygen absorption, reduces blood flow to the brain, can cause numbness and lightheadedness, increases heart rate and causes loss of consciousness. Don't do that. Never. Now I'm not going to focus on freediving because it is not the aim of this workshop and there is so much to say. This was just a comment on how our diaphragm and nervous system react on surface and underwater. But actually the aim of this workshop is to not teach, because I'm not teaching, I'm talking, so you are listening to something I have to say about the role of the diaphragm and the role of our nervous system in respiration process on surface and underwater, in sport, in our daily life, in job, always, pretty much. And why this is important, because the main parts of our body are those diaphragm and nervous system in breathing, and we do not know anything about it because no one taught us how to use them, if we can change it, and we can. So since this freediving experience, I have started learning more and more about breathing processes and how to improve it. I subscribed to several pranayama courses and I started to practice vinyasa and yin yoga asanas. And learning to know my body and how it can move in relationship with my breath was resolutive for me. Breathing is inside us since the moment we came into this world, but nobody has ever taught us how to properly do it. Nobody explained us the benefits of good breathing or the adverse outcomes that can come along with it, with dysfunctional breathing. And this is when I decided it was the moment to transmit what makes me feel so loved and powerful and alive to others. Never stop learning. I am a teacher, but also a forever student. And as a result, I got the opportunity to support others by coaching them to make deeper contact with themselves, to find joy, health, love, inner peace, and power inside, to live a deeper, meaningful life in contact with your soul purpose. And I began to study the influence and linkages between the mind and our emotional body by many methods, like reading a younger manual on pranayama, learning everything on breathing techniques, about the connection, about the anatomy and physiology of breathing, and about the connection of breathing with our body, our movement, and our state of mind, our emotional state. So breath coaching for me is a strong process that allows people to realize how breathing affects our lives in every level: physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, and learn new breathing habits or behaviors that can help us to regulate our breathing and consequently all the levels that I've mentioned. So probably now you have gained a lot of information, and I would be happy to continue. But for now, I think it's enough for you. I don't want to throw all of this information and maybe you're not getting the point. So, if you desire to know more about some aspects of what I talked about today, you can contact me. I organize other events and personal lessons, teachings, workshops, and also I would like to answer some questions live. So if you have any, you can write them actually in the comments, and I am reading them right now. Otherwise, you can contact me or write a comment after the live is done. So I will answer anyway offline when the video will remain registered on the group. And thank you so much for watching. Again, please leave a comment below if you've enjoyed also this class. I would like to know. If you have any questions, or if you just want to make a consideration, if you want to leave a comment, I will be happy to answer in all cases. I will leave my link of PayPal if you feel you'd like to donate to support my teachings, my activity, or simply if you liked this workshop. And if you can't, don't worry, this is my gift to offer to you. You will also find links to social media accounts so you can stay in touch with me. And most importantly, I hope you enjoyed the class and can take something home with you from this speech to live a happier and healthier life. I strongly believe that wherever you love, you should live it deeply. So thank you again for watching and participating. I'm waiting for your response, and bye.